Don't you think this is starting to wear on me? You've been raining down like hell. I'm weak. I have tried to give you my soul, but you can't love something you own. It's too late to repair what we made. What can I do? Time flashed by and I woke up on the other side of the moon.
G'day everybody, I'm Anna and this is my channel, You Got Me in Stitches. Welcome. Today is makes video. So yeah, been kind of productive recently and I have how many patterns and makes to show you? All these. So they're in all 6 makes with these patterns. So what I am going to do, just kind of giving something a little bit of a different trial run, flip the camera around and show you guys a little bit of a flat lay and a little bit of the details, tell about how I constructed these patterns, any disasters, yes of course, 2 major disasters, that's right guys, 2, and those 2 being 2 of my Frugal Frocks out of the 4 that I made. I know, right? And yeah, I start off with the pants and a little holder top that I made before I move on to the Frugal Frocks. Now the pants and the top are all one colour, which is yellow. The reason I went for yellow was because the wonderful Jess from Sew What If I Sew, linked below, wonderful young lady she is, and she was creating a sew yellow for Endo. So a lot of people got involved, and Endo being abbreviated for endometriosis, and there's a lot of people out there that suffer from endometriosis, me being one of them. And yeah, so if you'd like more information about that and everything, maybe if you'd like to go over and check out Jess, and it's primarily on Instagram and it's of the same name, and it's a fountain of information. And yeah, there's a few things in there that maybe you may not have thought of, come across, and it's really scary even to realise now in this kind of modern world that we currently live in, that yeah, endometriosis, anything from 7 to 10 years before you get a diagnosis. Yeah, that's right guys, 7 to 10 years. It's incredible, isn't it? And it is an agonising thing to have and go through. And for any of my viewers, you do not need to say because it's private, but any of my viewers that have gone through it or are going through it, you know of all people how debilitating it can be. Anyway, I'm not going to go too much into the endometriosis because obviously Jess covered a lot, and also some of you guys may already know, because if you are going through it and you know, learning and sourcing out information, yeah, there's so much, and sometimes you might want to learn a little bit more about it. You may have already learned a lot through going through it, or because you're going through it, it's like you don't always want too much. It can become too overwhelming. And yeah, so the garments that I made out of yellow cotton fabric, and for yeah, so yellow for Endo. Some of you guys might already be familiar with that. It's obviously kind of gone now, the kind of get together of So Yellow for Endo. However, all the photos and info is still out there. Yeah, so I'm going to flip the camera around and talk through my 6 makes. Righto, so we start off with Simplicity K8892. This pattern here came with the Sewing magazine, and I made the view here. Really like these pants, and here's a button placket and some detailing on the front. Just flip the pattern over. You can see the line art there of the different garments, and also the sizing. I opted to go for a 14, Starting off with the front of these pants with these pretty buttons. So these wooden ones kind of complement this fabric with being contrasted there, and yeah, I think that works pretty well. If I just pan out a little bit, you can see the double pleat detail either side, and this kind of reminds me a little bit of the henna culottes by Pen & Union. So this is the first time I have sewn these. Okay, so I've just taken those buttons out the buttonhole so you can see those. Okay, I know they're not the neatest. Flip that over for you, and yeah, so I serged throughout, as you can see. I also added a little snip here, so when that closes, this extra part there will then go on that snip, so you don't have that extra little bit of fabric kind of being annoying and in the way. I was going to sew a little button, but I did not want to make another hole, and I thought a snip would work equally as good, and also it's hidden so you cannot see it. This pattern also has pockets in these pants, and yeah, they're really good size pockets to be fair, and relatively straightforward. I did have a couple head scratching moments with this, and yeah, sometimes when you look at the pattern, the left and the right, and obviously you get white or shaded depending on a pattern company, which they decipher for correct side, incorrect side. Yeah, and when I was attaching them, when you had to kind of flip, these were sticking out to start with, and yeah, in the end I figured it out. It has 2 dats along the back there, so good for shaping. Okay, so now we are on the inside, so this is the front. Yep, I had to use a little bit of different fabric there. Does not matter too much because it's on the inside, and yeah, did not have enough of the kind of creamy yellow fabric. You see the little snip there, and the pocket, stroke pocket bag. So the shape goes across, comes down, and then goes round, and then meets with the raw edge there, and then you sew that together. And yeah, like I said, it was a couple little head scratching moments, but got there in the end. You can see the shape there. I've now flipped it around to the back. You can see the waistband, and just so the waistband does not flap about a bit, I ditch stitched, and obviously because this is the inside you can see the stitching, but obviously on the back and front outside you cannot see the stitching. There are the 2 little darts there, and then finishing off on the hem, just serged the hem and then folded up approximately 1 inch, and then just used a regular stitch length to hold that in place. Just flipped him back out again so you can see where I was telling you guys about the ditch stitching, and yeah, I think it's pretty hidden. Next pattern, Simplicity 1365, and yeah, it's based on a vintage 1970s. Really like this style, and you can see they got a few little different options, and I went for that one. Really like that style. When I was a little bit younger, I used to have little tops like that. I really like the hollow neck style. And then just panning down so you can see the line out there. Pretty self-explanatory, and the sizing, and yeah, I kind of went for the size 14. Starting off with the tie there, and yeah, just left it in a bow. Yeah, so coming down, the straps there that come in to this front gathered sweetheart bodies. I decided to line it, so you would have 2 of these front pieces, and then you have that front waistband. I have, since I wore it for the So Yellow for Endo, I have just decided to alter the waistband there, and hence why you can see the serging stitches. Yeah, I really like this style. I like how the gathers come around the arms and into the front, and yeah, gives it kind of a cute look, I guess. And yeah, it's a really good top. I know there's not much to it, but you know, on really warm days you don't want to wear too much, I guess. And if you're going out, you can easily just team it up with a little cardigan, especially if it gets cool in the evening. Flipped it to the back, and I opted to use snips again, and unfortunately, yeah, that did not quite meet, so I may go in there and fix that. Just show you guys the inside. It's exactly the same as the outside, and yeah, kind of glad that I lined it, because this cotton fabric was a lightweight fabric, and yeah, didn't want anything scandalous, so it just gives a little extra bit of coverage there. Yeah, so all in all, good little top to make, and I am going to make another one. I've actually started making another one, but in a different fabric. Next up, Simplicity 8578, and this is the first Frugal Frocks out of the 4 that I made, and I went for view 2, which is this little green number here, and I really like that little front detailing there. Yeah, so it is a 60s pattern, 1969. I got the envelope for you guys to see. So very few pieces. This pattern is also a set size, which was a 16, and I know that I would have to make quite a lot of adjustments. You will see me just standing pinching out the sides of the fabric, kind of in the beginning processes of the frock, and yeah, I took out a good couple inches. Starting off with the sleeve, you can see a little sneak peek there of some gathering, and on this fabric you can also see the slubs. I believe it does have some silk running through it. This is fabric that I thrifted a little while back, and yeah, it has absolutely no stretch in it. It's kind of like a taffeta almost, or very similar. Sleeves, short sleeve obviously, and I just did a little narrow hem there, double folded, and then just used a regular stitch length. Coming across now to the neckline, and really like this style neckline, and just before you see it, there is a purple zipper, and I know it does not match, and unfortunately I did not have anything close to matching, so I had to kind of go with what I had in the length that I had. So yeah, there we go guys. I know it looks absolutely shocking, but at the end of the day I needed to have a frock. Now, because this was my first frock, I had no idea that disaster was going to strike, even though at the last few seconds I was thinking, I can't believe this frock has actually come together really well, and then I thought something's going to go wrong, and of course the moment I thought that, a few seconds later something did. And by paying you down carefully, you can see, look at that mess of a horrible hole, well actually several holes. And yeah, finished my frock and gave it a last press, and never in my life have I ever caused this, with the exception of once when I was at work. There was a tee that I had to iron of somebody and they had like this transfer stuff on, and somehow just the corner of the iron caught it. But speaking as in scorching like this, never. And guys, I was absolutely heartbroken and really quite, yeah, I took it pretty hard actually, because yeah, you just do, don't you? So yeah, it's absolutely ruined. So there you go, there's a feature. The dress has princess seams, and yeah, I will show you the still of that. And you have to cut down the entire length of both the princess seams. Oh my goodness, my heart was pounding because I thought, oh no, if this is wrong, what's the wrong size? Yeah, it's going to be ruined. But no, it worked perfectly, and the princess seams hang where they are supposed to, lay where they're supposed to. And then coming down past the mess, there's the little detailing there, and yeah, so the raw ends get stitched into the princess seam. And then just coming down to the hem, and all I did was a small hem, a little bit larger than the hem on the sleeves, double folded regular stitch length. Right, I flipped it over to the back. Now, as you guys know, that zippers do not like me at all. No, of course not. And of course, why is it, guys? I've actually kind of installed a zipper that is passable. Look at that. Yeah, a little bit of a lap going on there. And yeah, there you go. So all the way down to the end. And then we have that rounded neckline. Also, it has two little darts. You can just about see them. I come in a little bit closer. There we go. Just to have a little bit of shaping there. Also on the back, I'll zoom in a little bit for you guys. There's two fisheye darts. And there they are there. Righto, so I just flipped it inside out for you guys. And yeah, it has a facing all the way around the neckline there. You can see the princess seam there, and of course the terrible disaster that is the scorching. And now finally the back. So now obviously the gist is ruined. I don't know if I would actually take out that zipper, I don't know. You can now see the two fisheye darts there either side to give shaping to the frock. I also left the raw edges raw, and yeah, opted to do that. I was going to pink them with the pinking shears. Again, I may not do that now after the dress is ruined. Quickly going back to this scorched horribleness. I could kind of salvage that because you have the front detailing there, and I could actually make it a little bit higher so then it covers that. Also put in some reinforcing stitches, and obviously it'll all be hidden. And yeah, maybe a little extra panel on the inside so it also covers the inside, because also that against the skin would irritate me and it would probably be sharp, and yeah, I don't want that. But again, it's just knowing that this is like that. And also I have barely any much left of this fabric, so I don't even know if I have enough. Or I could open it out and maybe even do maybe a little bit of a contrast, nothing too contrast. Next up we have the Sew Over It, and this is the kiddie dress, and this PDF I had won, so you can't get more frugally than winning a pitting. Laying out there for you guys, and yeah, a couple of little different options there to choose, and the sizing. I actually opted to go for a size 12, but it is actually a little bit big for me. Righto, so starting off with the collar, and yeah, it came together pretty straightforward, to be fair. And this pattern also reminds me of the dress that I made a little while ago, and that was when Sewing Bunny Michelle and I kind of made the same dresses together. If I can find a pattern, then I'll just insert a photo. The fabric that I used is kind of a buttermilk, and it's a mid-weight 100% cotton. This was thrifted, and it has these pretty little daisies all over it, and when you run your finger over them, they are ever so slightly raised. I decided to use snaps for this kitty dress. Following from that, I decided to go sleeveless on this garment, and on the arm side I used bias binding. I like that finish, regular stitch length, and yeah, they both came together really well. Now the thing that I noticed on this is, after I constructed it all, the arm side is huge, so if I make this pattern again, I will make the amendments to my traced out patterns, and I would need to cinch that in a good inch, maybe inch and a half even. Yeah, so it is pretty gaping. The kitty dress has darts, so it has the long dart coming up from the waist and bust darts to give a really good shaping there. I have just fanned out some of the skirt for you. So this kitty dress has panels, and in all there are 8 panels, so yeah, a little bit fabric hungry. Following down from that placket, you can see that I decided to use bias binding for my hem. Just showing you guys the back of the kitty dress. Following down, it has 2 darts there, which is great for the shaping. I have fanned out the skirt because now we go on to the second disaster. Wait for it, guys. And here we go. So I did not have quite enough fabric, unfortunately, and yeah, so I had to fabric piece. And yeah, so this little triangle here, it's a shame really that the fabric either side here was not quite large enough to be able to have as one piece, and then obviously that got attached there, so it has the seam line there. And then because I had to borrow a bit of fabric, the top of these 2 panels then has 2 wedges there. But to be fair, this part here kind of could be considered a bit of a detailing feature, and it's not too bad, but unfortunately the one down here, I do not think I can get away and call that a design feature, do you? Unless I replicate that on the other side. But I can't now, to be fair, because obviously you've got to take in the account of the seam allowance. When the skirt part of the dress hangs, to be fair, you do not actually notice this, and with this being on the back, I guess it's not too bad. So because the skirt is pretty fabric hungry, the way it kind of drapes, yeah, it's not too noticeable. But again, it's one of those things, like when we know something is wrong, it just makes us kind of, yeah, feel a little bit bad, and we're conscious and we know it's there. I opened out the dress for you guys, so you can see both the front darts there and also the back dart and the waistband. And I decided to hand stitch all along there. Sometimes that's my preferred method of doing that, especially sometimes with ditch stitching it's not always invisible, and I thought by the time I finagle the fabric under the presser foot on the sewing machine, it's kind of the same amount of time that it would have taken me to hand stitch, so I opted to do hand stitching. Also the option there to have pockets, and they're really good sized pockets, which is fantastic. So yeah, just regular pocket bag, pretty straightforward. You guys know they're nothing special, and yeah, just serged throughout the entire frock, and obviously did the binding on the arm size and the hem. Next up is the third dress in line that I made, which is a Butterick B6657, and this came with the sewing magazine, Love Sewing. There is the back of the envelope with all the information, and yeah, line art there. And I traced out a 14, but I did make a couple of amendments just kind of in the waist area, just needed to make that a little bit more smaller. Starting with the arm side, kind of like the kiddie dress, I actually needed to bring the arm side in a little more. This was after I constructed it, so if I do make this pidding again, I'll make those amendments. I decided to hand stitch all the way around the arm side there. The reason being is because I lined the front and back bodices, and yeah, I kind of wanted to do some hidden stitches on that, and yeah, I think that came out okay. So you can see the other side as well, guys. I also like the front detail there. It has that keyhole design, and yeah, it's modest, it's not scandalous, it's just enough. And then following down along the bust area, it has gathers for a little extra detailing there. Yeah, and then following down from that waistband, this beautiful flowy viscose rayon, and yeah, it's beautiful. It's like satiny butter, very drapey and very soft. Here's I'm kind of laying over the table, so it kind of then drops there, and yeah, really lovely and swishy. Flipped it over to the back for you guys to see, and again, I did not have a correct colour zipper in the length that was required for this dress, so I opted to go for a white one. Yeah, so just a regular zipper, and installation was okay, I guess, and yeah, my seams now match okay. I flipped it inside out for you guys, but it kind of is pretty much the same, to be fair, because like I said, I lined both the front and back bodies. I also hand stitched the fabric to the zipper there, and yeah, pretty self-explanatory. So that's what the inside of the back looks like. I also wanted to tell and show you guys about the back panel for the skirt. So this would have been cut 2. I opted to actually cut one back piece, as you can see there. That said, I then made sure I got my measurements correct and allowed for the parting of the fabric, if you like, cut into it just part way down for the installation of the zipper, and then just left a little bit of an over part, if you like, want for a better word. Yeah, so it ends there, So from that end, then this fabric is just one piece, and it worked for me. I don't know if you guys ever do that or want to do it. I don't know if it's the right way or wrong way, and I just wanted to kind of just play around. Finally on this frock is the hem. So I've just laid the fabric like that so you can see the inside and the correct side. And yeah, regular stitch length. I double folded the hem, did about a 1/2 inch hem, and yeah, pretty happy with that. For my fourth and final frock, I decided to go with another vintage pattern, and this is 4835, size 18.5, and this is actually quite a jumper. And yeah, it's pretty basic to look at. I'll open out the sheet because it's not actually an envelope. You can see the size of the sheet there, and yeah, it is very thin. Could be thin because they just use thin paper, or it could be just thinning because it's pretty old now. Just flipped it over so then you guys can also see that as well. I just adore vintage patterns, and yeah, it's great. So starting off with the neck there, you can see it has a facing, and also that I serged throughout, and that comes down to a shape like that, and it has 2 bust darts. And unfortunately, although I actually ordered the bust darts, I did not order them enough, and they are way too high. And yeah, I don't know if they will actually noticeable in the photo. The waist has a elastic waist, so created a channel there and inserted about a 1/4 inch elastic in there, coming down from the waist, so then you can see the fabric. This is kind of, although it's a mid-weight fabric, it's actually quite light, and this fabric is thrifted, and also it is primarily for home furnishing fabrics. And this fabric was actually going to sell, and I kind of just decided to grab it out of the box that I put to a side to seal it, and it's because I like the blue, and I thought, why not, I just give it a go and see how it comes out. Now this frock jumper, actually, that's the proper name of the pattern, that's what they call it, is, yeah, it is a little bit short to be fair, so I could actually wear this over pants, so it kind of be like a jumper smock kind of tunic dress. On the back, on both shoulders, it has 2 darts, and because this was so large and had to make quite a few alterations, yeah, I had to cut all the way down the back bodies and also the skirt, so it has a seam all the way down, which that's okay. And yeah, it would not have had that had I not have to make all the alterations, but it is what it is, and that's okay. I hand stitched some bias binding, so just a regular cotton bias binding there. So this is the inside of the front, so you can see the facing there and the bust darts, and coming down to the channel where I inserted the elastic, and yeah, serged pretty much throughout where needed. Similarly on the back here, so yeah, serged, has that back seam, and you can see the elastic channel there. Also, when I did the facings, I ditch stitched there, so although this is the inside, if I just flip that so you can see, yeah, so it's all clean and all the stitches are hidden in the ditch. Finally, the hem, and because this garment was already a little bit short, all I did was a very small hem, just folded it over after I had stitched, and yeah, finishing off with just a regular stitch length. Okay guys, so yeah, they are my makes, and yeah, 2 disasters of the frocks there. And yeah, I know some people would say, okay, no worries, it's just fabric, but to me it's more important than that. I don't have a disposable income, I'm careful with fabric, it breaks my heart when something goes wrong. And you know, fabric you cannot get again because maybe it was gifted, thrifted, anything like that. And yeah, I think maybe we should be a bit more considerate and perhaps not say it's only fabric. Okay, in the grand scheme of life and everything, I know fabric, you know, isn't the be all and end all, but it is to some of us. And yeah, so I was absolutely heartbroken when that happened, because that fabric I cannot get again. So that's the way it goes, isn't it? Anyway, that aside, I hope you guys have enjoyed showing kind of all the skeletal structure of everything of the dress. And yeah, so let me know guys what you're up to. Also, I'm wishing you guys who celebrate it a wonderful happy Easter. Please stay safe, and if you are venturing out, again, have fun and take care. And yeah, see you guys for Friday sews. Okay, thank you so much for watching and stopping by.